patient with fistula, we have to prepare her psychologically.
Revealing the human stories behind fistula and its intimate connection to poverty. A powerful new series exploring global maternal health. Birthrights, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Welcome back. A recap of the developments in Libya. Anti-Gaddafi forces are calling for international help with their fight against the government. In the west, close to the capital Tripoli, they've lost control of AlJazeera and they've lost ground in other key cities. And President Barack Obama says Washington and its allies are still considering a military response to the crisis in Libya. Gulf Arab leaders have called for a UN-enforced no-fly zone. Libya's opposition council says it may not pursue criminal charges against Gaddafi if he steps down. Earlier, state television denied reports that Colonel Gaddafi had sought a deal that would make way for him to leave power. Well, the Libyan foreign minister has repeated Muammar Gaddafi's claim that the rebels are getting help from Al-Qaeda.
Go back to your files and you will find they were in Guantanamo, and now they're fighting in the eastern part of Libya. This group lives in the same region. I'm telling you, there is Al-Qaeda. This is clear evidence. Their files are in Guantanamo.
In other news, it was one of his most famous presidential pledges: close Guantanamo Bay prison camp and move military trials to civilian courts. But the detention center in Cuba remains open, and now Barack Obama has taken a U-turn by giving the order for military trials to resume. John Terrett reports.
Just after he took office, President Obama promised to keep a campaign pledge and close Guantanamo within 1 year.
It is a rallying cry for our enemies. It sets back the willingness of our allies to work with us in fighting an enemy that operates in scores of countries. By any measure, the cost of keeping it open far exceed the complications involved in closing it.
Obama also stopped the controversial Bush-era military trial system and promised a full review. Now, 2 years on, Guantanamo is still open and the military trials are back. The White House says it's made the system fairer, but critics see it as a return to square one.
The ironic aspect of this is that President Bush established this kind of review mechanism. President Obama set up this kind of a mechanism when he took office, and now this is the third iteration. I have no reason to believe that this new system is going to be any better than the two systems that it has already replaced.
The issue of what to do about Guantanamo Bay has dogged Obama's presidency from the beginning. His political opponents and some of those in his own party have blocked his efforts. The White House wanted to move and try some detainees in U.S. courts, but Congress made that impossible. Obama has also found it hard to find countries willing to take those released from Guantanamo, and his administration now says some prisoners will just stay locked up without trial indefinitely. Now that the review into detention policy at Guantanamo Bay has been completed, charges are expected soon for at least 3 detainees who were charged under the Bush administration and who've been deemed eligible to stand trial, but whose cases were dropped in 2009 so the review could take place. John Terrett, Al Jazeera, Washington.
To Malaysia now, where the High Court has turned down a request to use DNA evidence in a trial involving an opposition leader. Anwar Ibrahim is accused of sodomy against a former male aide. The DNA was considered vital evidence for the prosecution, but the judge ruled it was obtained unfairly and cannot be used in court. It's the second time Anwar has faced such a charge. He served prison time for sodomy, but was released when the court overturned the conviction in 2004. Well, the shocking violence of the drugs war in Mexico has sent people in search of a way to ward off a misfortune. Many are turning to Santa Muerta, or the Saint of Death, for solace. Franco Contreras reports.
Raising prayers to a saint of death. Martin George has built a shrine to her in the living room of his own home. He lights candles and focuses deeply on her skeletal image. Though it may frighten some, for him, it brings comfort in times of despair. In Mexico, the many followers of Santa Muerte are widely considered to be drug traffickers or other criminals. Martin George says there are criminals among all religions and cults. He insists most of Santa Muerte's believers are honest people.
They don't ask her to help them commit robberies. They don't ask for help getting drugs. They ask her to help them get ahead in order to have complete lives. And when it's time to die, to leave behind an inheritance for their family members. For us, that's called a saintly death.
This image dates back to pre-Hispanic Mesoamerica. Over the centuries, Santa Muerte has held her place among Mexico's most sacred icons. The country's biggest religious institution, the Catholic Church, does not officially recognize her. Still, she's become so popular with so many people that a cottage industry now produces Santa Muerte statues, candles, necklaces, and anything else believers might need to create an altar in her honor.
I'm inside Mexico's famous Sonora market, where you can buy just about anything, from healing herbs to a love potion. But an increasing number of people are coming to this market to buy items like this one, in devotion to the Santa Muerte.
The author of a best-selling book on Santa Muerte says it's no coincidence that an increasing number of people are turning to the death saint, particularly in this difficult time when drug violence appears to be raging out of the Mexican government's control.
People ask her for things that the Mexican state should be providing. Those are rights such as housing, justice, employment, and health. And those rights the state should be providing. In that way, you could say Santa Muerte is helping the Mexican state.
And so the cult of the death saint continues to grow, and untold numbers of the faithful cling to the image of this mystical figure, hoping she will help protect them in what are likely to be more difficult times ahead. Frank Contreras, AlJazeera, Mexico City.
Well, it's International Women's Day, a celebration of the economic, political, and social achievements of women. And Melissa Chan has been to meet a software engineer in China who's achieved great things in a traditionally male-dominated industry.
Welcome to Baidu, the reigning champion of online search services in China, offering basic search, but also picture searches, video, audio, news, maps. There's social networking, shopping, online dating, a universe of internet products. The company emulates Silicon Valley culture, and it is in these spaces you'll see some of the brightest, most innovative workers in the country. One of the top engineers is a woman, Wang Menqiu.
I'm in charge of the major search services and developments. The latest technology we're working on is a parallel to cloud computing called frame computing, meant to be an internet-based platform to process information to provide a faster experience for the user.
Menqiu considers Google a competitor and believes Baidu succeeds because it focuses on the basics. She holds a unique position, a female leader in a conventionally male-dominated discipline. The 35-year-old graduated from prestigious Peking University, worked as a software engineer in California, but decided to return to China and joined Baidu in 2002. She argues that it's only at places such